Alexei Navalny has had a horrendous time since he was arrested. Tell us the latest.
So what we're seeing now is a kind of buildup of the cases that have been brought against him. He was first imprisoned, alleged for alleged fraud, then accused of slandering a World War II veteran. Then he's been accused of organizing an extremists organization, which is a very serious offense in Russia, which can carry dozens of years in prison. And now this case of terrorism that has been brought against him. We don't know the details very much now, but seems like the final straw to build the image of Navalny as an enemy of the people and Russia, to keep him locked probably until the end of his natural life or the end of Putin's rule, whichever is the shortest.
And this comes as most of his network of supporters, those activist groups, have been dismantled. We've seen in the last week or so the arrest of another leading opposition figure, the detention of a leading Wall Street journalist as well. I mean, this really is about President Putin cracking down on any dissent, isn't it?
Yes, so this process started already some time ago, and a decisive step was taken when Alexei Navalny returned to Russia, and his organization, the Foundation Against Corruption, was labeled an extremist organization, which in Russia basically amounts to making the organization illegal and any collaboration with it illegal too, again, carrying very lengthy prison sentences. So since then, we've seen this process started before the war in Ukraine, but the war in Ukraine has accelerated the process with basically the Russian authorities clearing the ground in Russia from any remaining opposition activity. So you mentioned, and also attacking people who could work relatively safely, such as foreign journalists. So you mentioned that case of that Wall Street Journal journalist who faces treason charges, spying charges.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really the clearing the ground from any potential challenge to Vladimir Putin at the moment.
Just briefly, I mean, Alexei Navalny's resilience is really quite extraordinary when you think of what he's been through and the circumstances in which he's been held. Do you think that this latest move, a charge which could mean him being in prison for another 30 years, does it show that President Putin is still worried about Alexei Navalny and the potential threat that he could pose?
Well, I think that it's difficult to answer that question first because we're not into Putin's head, and the access today to Russian authorities' thinking or decision making is extremely limited. But I'm not really surprised by the charges being brought against Navalny. He was brought to prison on trumped charges, obviously. But I think that the general view among people who follow Russian politics is that Navalny, being the most active, the most charismatic opponent to Putin, would be kept in jail until, as I said, either the end of his natural life, and that the Russian authorities would find some good reasons to put it in jail, or until the end of Putin's rule, or massive political changes in Russia.
Okay,
But do they have reason? Yeah.
we'll have to leave it there. Morvan Lallouet, co-author of Navalny, Putin's Enemy, Russia's Future. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.